There is a silent crisis happening right now. It's hiding behind closed office doors, tucked away behind glowing laptop screens. Millions of us are staring down the barrel of the next 40 years, feeling this heavy, suffocating uncertainty. We're trapped in jobs we merely tolerate, absolutely terrified we're on the wrong path, but completely paralyzed by how to actually escape. Look, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're dismantling the psychology of career anxiety and revealing the exact behavioral science you need to finally break out. So I've got to ask you, is your career path actually a source of stress and anxiety right now? Honestly, it's a really heavy question. We are hardwired as humans to crave certainty, right? We need to know that the decades we're trading for a paycheck are actually going to lead to some sort of real fulfillment. But that profound self-doubt, it breeds a kind of paralyzing anxiety. But here's the good news. Behavioral science professor Grace Lordan has developed an evidence-based toolkit to help you engineer a career you genuinely love. The first step to escaping is entirely about shattering an illusion. This is Tim Urban's pixel theory. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how it grounds our abstract worries. You see, we've all been conditioned to look at our lives as this grand, broad brushstroke painting. The impressive job title, the fancy corner office. But here is the brutal reality. You do not live in the painting. You live inside a single microscopic pixel. Your true happiness isn't governed by some abstract title. It's literally governed by your day-to-day calendar, by what you're actually doing at 10 a.m. on a random Tuesday. To escape this trap, we absolutely need a scientific roadmap. So here's our protocol. First, we'll unpack the career anxiety trap. Second, visualizing your Me Plus. Third, auditing and investing time. Fourth, rethinking traditional qualifications. And finally, embracing career U-turns. Okay, let's dive right into this. Step 1, the career anxiety trap. Society absolutely loves to sell us this TV glamorized version of success. Being a neurosurgeon or a high-powered corporate lawyer, it sounds incredibly prestigious. But psychology reveals a pretty dark truth here. Ultimate career success is inextricably tied to your daily happiness. If you chase the crown, you end up a prisoner to the reality of the role. Take that corporate lawyer. Their day might be an exhausting, brutal 14-hour grind from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. If you despise the mundane tasks filling up those specific hours, that glamorous title literally becomes a cage. You have got to choose tasks over titles. So if we strip away the titles entirely, what do we actually aim for? Well, we need to figure out who you genuinely want to become. Which brings us nicely to step 2, visualizing your Me Plus. Think of your Me Plus as the aspirational future version of you who has finally unlocked their ideal workflow. Yes, you need to look at the big picture, your industry and goals, but the real secret? It's drilling down into those microscopic daily tasks that you genuinely enjoy doing. Consider Dr. Ali Abdaal for a second. He went all the way through medical school, got the highly prestigious title, but then realized his true Me Plus tasks weren't actually medical at all. They were teaching, solving creative problems, and explaining complex concepts. By ruthlessly identifying those specific tasks, he pivoted his entire life to build an absolute empire around them. But it begs the question, how do you even know what your current reality looks like compared to your own Me Plus? That leads us to step 3, auditing and investing time. To find the gap between your daily reality and your Me Plus, you need cold, hard evidence. So I challenge you, take a screenshot of your calendar from this past week. Now, apply a ruthless audit to it. If an activity moves you toward your Me Plus, give it a double plus. Prioritize that. If it actively drains your energy and completely distracts from your goals, that's a double minus. The cinematic tension, the absolute stress you might be feeling in your life right now, is more than likely caused by a calendar that is suffocating under double minus activities. Your immediate mission is to completely eliminate them. Now, once you clear out that dead weight, you've got to replace it. But here's the crazy part. The barrier to entry for doing that is shockingly low. The magic number to begin totally rewiring your career is 13. Professor Lordan essentially demands a commitment of just 90 minutes a week to invest in new skills. Let's do the math. That is merely 13 minutes a day. We all accept that money compounds in a retirement fund, right? But we totally forget that human skills compound in exactly the same way. This ties perfectly into Cal Newport's career capital theory. A dream career isn't just randomly discovered, it is meticulously earned. And you earn it by spending just 13 minutes a day deliberately forging rare and highly valuable skills. Because trust me, the moment you realize you need new skills, society is going to try to feed you a very expensive lie. Let's move to step 4 and see how this builds rethinking traditional qualifications. So, the crucial point here is that this lie tells you that you have to return to a university, take out massive loans for a 4-year degree or a fancy master's program. The shocking truth? Professor Lorden, who, remember, is a university professor herself, actively advises against this. Unless you need a highly specialized, regulated credential, the internet offers endless, practically free resources. Today, recruiters often look far less favorably at an expensive, highly theoretical MBA compared to someone with gritty, real-world entrepreneurial experience. You can learn almost anything without ever setting foot inside a traditional classroom. Okay, so you've learned the skills, you've optimized your calendar, but what happens if you wake up one morning and realize you've completely changed your mind? That brings us to our final step, embracing career U-turns. And this brilliantly illustrates a vital point. Changing your mind is not a failure. It is a psychological inevitability. Psychologist Dan Gilbert uncovered something called the end of history illusion. His massive datasets prove a really humbling reality about us. Human beings are incredibly bad at predicting their own futures. We vastly underestimate how much our own values and preferences will mutate over a single decade. Look, it is perfectly normal for a 16-year-old to swear they'll be a doctor, only to turn 26 and realize they absolutely despise medicine. You are not the same person you were 10 years ago, so why on earth should your career remain exactly the same? To survive this constant evolution, you've got to adopt what's called the grid search mindset. Society often tricks us into believing that strong leaders just pick a path and never, ever waver. But clinging to a failing strategy, that's disastrous. True leadership means navigating all this uncertainty by treating your career as an ongoing, ruthless experiment. You gather new data, and when the evidence proves you're on the wrong path, you execute a deliberate U-turn. Stepping sideways or even backwards when the data changes isn't a sign of weakness, it is the ultimate sign of strong leadership. When you're right in the thick of this grid search, making these lateral moves, it feels like absolute chaos. But hold on to this powerful concept made famous by Steve Jobs. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. Your circuitous path, those weird little side hobbies, those 13 minutes of daily coding, the sudden, unexpected U-turns. They probably won't make sense to you right now, but 10 years from now, when you look back at the incredible life you've built, every single dot will perfectly align. So we've moved all the way from the suffocating anxiety of the big picture right down to the microscopic truth of your daily calendar. You now have the exact behavioral framework you need. Audit your energy. Sever those massive time sinks. Invest just 13 minutes a day into rare skills. And boldly execute a U-turn when the data demands it. That grand, sweeping painting of your life is just an illusion. But tomorrow morning, your calendar is waiting. The only question left is this: what will your next pixel look like?